Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. This is your Fans Forum end of season special. We'll reflect on what has been an amazing season, talk about our highlights, our favourite games, maybe one or two little disappointments, potential dream signings we can make over the summer, and also your questions and comments, your reflections on what has been a fantastic season. Joining me, first of all, is Martin. How are you doing, mate? What a season it has been.
What an incredible season. I had me popcorn all year round watching Aston Villa. It was so entertaining to watch, and I'm really glad to be on tonight. So all is good.
Awesome, mate. Awesome. We should have Kev joining us a bit later, maybe George as well. But we've got all you guys in the chat. We've got Gaza, we've got Kevin, we've got Mark. Good evening. We've got Rachel. Good evening to you, Duncan. Sai. Good evening to you as well. And as he says, don't forget to hit that like button, everyone. Please do keep us at the front of everyone's minds, keep us growing. We are over 3,800, pushing on to 3,900 subscribers on the road to 4,000. We've actually surpassed 500,000 views of the channel as well, I found out today. So thank you for all of your support for the channel. Let's just keep it going. Want to keep growing. And as I said on Sunday, it's so great to see people who watch the channel and stuff, and people say hello. So look, thank you for all your support. Let's just keep pushing on. So yeah, we also, I mean, the season's finished, Martin. Before we get into kind of our reflections on the season's finished, but the news on Aston Villa seems to just been going crazy. I mean, the kit announcement obviously official, players rumors, Ross Barkley's coming, Conor Gallagher's coming, Diego Carlos is we looking to get rid of him. I mean, the news around Villa hasn't stopped.
No, I mean the
England
season was.
England internationals. Sorry, I forgot that as well.
I won't be too worried about England
No,
myself
no,
now.
no, I know, I know.
But no, like the season wasn't even finished 5 minutes. All of a sudden, is this player's coming, that player's coming, this player's going, that player coming, and I'm going. Jesus, lads are having a party. Let them settle down first before they start getting excited over players that are coming in.
Exactly. But we'll get into that later when we talk about kind of. I know it would be a dream signing that we can make, but we will talk kind of incomings and outgoings. We have had a couple of people ask the questions on, how will we structure the kind of summer in terms of transfers, and will it be free transfers? Will it be big signings? So I'll get your opinions on that as well, Martin, later. We've also got our draw for the competition that we announced, the end of season competition for the squad print of the 23-24 squad from Matty 723. So I will announce that. So yeah, loads and loads to cover tonight. So first of all, I just wanted to talk around, and you guys in the chat can get involved in this. One or two season highlights for you, Martin. I know it's like I've just said there, it's been a fantastic season, so many wins, so many great games, so many brilliant moments, not just particular games, like times during games as well. But yeah, could you just sum up, one or two of your favourite moments across the season? And like I say, guys, get involved in the chat with your kind of favourite moments across the season.
Well, I have two favorite moments. My first one is, funny enough, the Crystal Palace game at home when we won 3-1. Not the away game now when you're all having a party. You probably didn't know what the score was.
It was a good
But
moment, to be fair. That
yeah,
was, though, to be fair.
yeah. But but it was my favorite moment. Funny enough, I actually didn't even watch the game because what happened was I was on the plane, right, going to Turkey for my holiday to visit my grandfather. And it was 1-0, and I was going, oh, Jesus, no. And then I took off on the plane, not knowing what the score was, nothing. I landed down, got to my granddad's house, set the Wi-Fi up, and the first thing he said to me before I even opened anything, he said, "Good win for Villa today." And I went, "What? What are you on about? We were 1-0 down there in like in the 89th minute. Did we win?" I was like, "You winding me up?" He said, "No, it was 1-3-1. I was watching the game here." I was like, "What?" I couldn't believe it. I just didn't believe him whatsoever, right? And I looking at my phone, I'm going, "Oh, we did win 3-1. When did that happen?" So I was watching the highlights then on my phone. When I seen Duran's goal, I was like, "Oh my God, what a finish!" So I hadn't a clue what was going on. So I was just in hysterics, and my granddad was just there laughing at me, just going, "This fella's tick. He didn't even watch a football match, and now he's all up celebrating." But that was a great moment for me, just to share with my grandfather. And the second one I'd have to say is doing the double over Arsenal.
Hmm.
I think because how many years did we probably come close to beating Arsenal doing the double? I know we did it previously, but I think it was a while since we last done it, and it makes it even so much better and such a bittersweet moment as well that they lost the league simply from Ollie Watkins dinking the keeper, and the fans, the limbs in the away end was sensational. So I think those are my two favourite moments of Aston Villa this season.
Yeah, great ones. I mean, I so wish I'd have gone to the Arsenal game. It was one of those where I was like, could I go? Should I go? And I was like, nah, I'll give it a miss. I'll give it a miss. And I so regret it now
Yeah.
because the
Seeing the
limbs in
limbs,
that
the
end,
limbs in the
oh
away end
man,
alone will make you
that would have
want
just
to
been
regret it.
unbelievable. For me, I think both personally and for the actual game was the Man City home game.
Yeah,
One, obviously because of the performance, the way that we took it to Man City. I don't think it's got enough credit, that performance across the season. We limited Man City to 2 shots on goal all game, and we absolutely battered them. And it was one of those where you thought, we've had such a great first
mm,
half. How can we replicate that in the second half? But we actually did it, and to see Bailey score
mm.
that goal and everything like that, just tremendous. And then my son was the actual mascot for
Yeah, I
that
remember
game,
that. Yeah.
the Premier League mascot, and just to be able to experience that with him, go in and meet he went in and met the players. He told Leon Bailey to score a goal. He was high
Oh no
fiving the players in
way.
the tunnel, took the ball out, waved to the camera, and all that sort of stuff. So to have that experience as well, and then to beat Man City was just unbelievable. So yeah, just fantastic night. And I think Size put it in there. He's gutted he missed the Brighton game 6-1, but I actually went to that game, and I think that was a great moment as well because
Mm,
to beat them, and Deserby, obviously he's left Brighton now, but seemed to be the flavour of the month at that time and was getting so much praise, and fair enough. But I thought Emery wasn't getting maybe that praise that he maybe deserved, and then to beat them
mm,
6-1, just really being clinical. It wasn't a phenomenal performance if you look back on it. The Arsenal away performance was probably better
yeah.
than Man City home performance, but we actually just were so clinical, and Watkins getting his hat trick, Louise scoring, everything like that. Yeah, 6-1, fantastic, fantastic moment. So yeah, but there's just so many moments across the season. Michael says, I liked Bailey against Lille, saying we've still got time. Was a great example of a player he's become, and that's massive, isn't it? Just that leadership that Leon Bailey has displayed this season, Martin. I mean, who would have
Yeah.
thought that he's one of our real main players now?
Yeah. You'd have told me this probably last season, 2 years ago, that he would become so pivotal for his leadership. I'd have laughed in your face and said, not a hope. He's gone in the summer. But he showed so much character this season. I think not just performance wise, but leadership wise. Because against Lille, when he's saying we've still got time, and he's shouting on the screen, "We still got time. Don't be stressing." And then I think the one where he really showed good leadership, in my opinion, is shouting at Ollie, saying, "If you knew I was offside, why didn't you tell me to leave it?" Like if a player like that is telling you this, tell me to leave it. He could have got it and squared it to you and scored, and we would have been clean through. And but unfortunately, Watkins didn't really tell him. So, but I felt his leadership this year was
Yeah,
so
yeah,
pivotal.
he's been great. He's been absolutely great. Good evening, George. Good to have you on board, mate. How are you doing?
Evening, boys. Yeah, I'm good. Sorry, I'm a little bit late on. Just doing a bit of dinner and that. You know how it
That's
is,
all
Mm.
right, man. That's
playing
all
dad and
right.
stuff. But yeah, I'm here.
Nice one. Well, it's a pleasure to have you on, mate. Just reflecting on the season. Terry says, yes, Rich, big up for all you and the lads have done on the pod this season. Thank you very much, mate. And his best was Man City. Absolutely, mate. Brilliant stuff. What was your kind of highlight or highlights of the season, George, for you in terms of doesn't necessarily have to be a game. It could be just moments. What was kind of some of your highlights for Aston Villa this season?
Well, God, you think in years gone by, we'd be picking out of about 3, wouldn't we? But
Yeah.
what a season this year! God, it's been brilliant, hasn't it? I would say from start to finish. I'd say from start to nearly finish, it was fantastic, and then we hobbled over the line a bit. Yeah, we've had a great time of it. Scored stacked loads of goals, broke our goals record, I think, this year in the Premier League. So looking at a highlight, my personal favourite was probably the win at Arsenal. It was just a game where I look at that one now, and I know everyone will have their games that think what got us Champions League. But to me now, only beating Spurs by 2 points, that was a bank of 3 points for Arsenal in most people's mind, wasn't it? And we managed to turn that into a great performance and a victory for Villa. So I'd be picking that one out, boys.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well a shout. I know it ended a little bit disappointing, but our run in Europe, I think when we do reflect on it, yes, everyone will pundits and all that. I'll say that the Conference League we were favourites and all that sort of stuff. But to be fledgling in Europe, not many of the players had experienced it before. You could see the nerves in that game against Legia Warsaw. You could see the nerves in the game against Zrinjski Mostar. But to go through that tournament and get to the semi-final, facing the likes of Ajax, Lille, Olympiacos, Legia Warsaw, fantastic experience for the players and for the fans as well, Martin. You experienced it over in Lille. To go out to Europe and experience that has to be a massive highlight for the season.
Oh, now that I look back on that, and that was such an unbelievable moment. I mean, forget about the scoreline, but still to go through on penalties and Emi Martinez to get the last word over 50,000 French fans just booing him every time he got the ball. And I remember that I asked one of the French fans that I said, "Why is everyone booing him? What did he do?" He said he won the World Cup with Argentina. I went, "Makes sense. Makes sense." Right. So that I was just there going, right, fair enough, because I thought he'd done something in the first game to a player and I probably didn't catch it. But because he won the World Cup against France, yeah, it was fair. And then he got the last word again, and the fans were still giving him going, "Oh, Emi Martinez."
Yeah.
Right. So it was unbelievable, and the crack that was had was sensational. I mean, people I was talking to and just people I was making friends with and everything else. It was just an unbelievable day and an unbelievable experience. And I drove down when I got a lift with Luke Fribiamo, who's a good friend of mine, and I didn't realize it was only an hour in the tunnel from England to France. I was shocked. Like, oh no, sorry, not an hour, 20 minutes. I was like, we're here already. Like thinking it was going to be a bit longer, but an unbelievable experience, to get myself to a European game. I done a home one for Hibs, which was good, but I wanted to do a proper away day, and I felt that one was top notch. And this time we're going to Barcelona, and the Blues are at Shrewsbury because they're not saying it.
Exactly. My guy says Cash's second goal at Burnley early in the season, the pass and the movement was beautiful. Yeah, that goal was very underrated goal. Scott UK says having lunch and Martinez and Buendia coming and sitting next to me last month. Hope you got the lowdown on what they're doing next season. Michael said when we all thought Emi was getting sent off in the shootout at Lille. Yeah, that game.
Yeah, I remember that. I couldn't
believe
believe
it, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Before getting to kind of maybe some slight disappointments, Bear in the Garden's got a question. Which was the toughest opposition this season? George, your thoughts on that?
I think you've got to say Newcastle, right? They give us a real good going over on the opening day at their place, even though we actually played pretty well in the game, but we got well stuffed. And then we got turned over well at home as well. I think they were 3-0 up, just after the hour or whatever. We come into that one, rallied a little bit, but you've got to say they well and truly had our number this season. There's been a few tough games.
Was that 8-2 on aggregate?
5-1 and 3-1. Yeah. I don't think who else we're going to pick. It's only
Tottenham
Man United had the double over us as well.
Yeah, Man United did the double over us. I don't think that they played as well as Newcastle did against us. Yeah, it's probably it. I mean, Chelsea was a tough game, but we've got 4 points off them this season.
Well, we played Chelsea 4 times this year, and we did struggle with them, didn't we? Even in the 2 cup games was a hard.
Yeah. Liverpool at their ground gave us a good beating, but
Yeah.
apart from that, you've got to say Newcastle. You've got to, unfortunately for me, and they always beat us at St James's Park.
Next year it'll be
Always.
20 years since we've won at St James's.
Mate, because they played Brentford on Sunday, so obviously the train back was just full of Newcastle fans. So having a good laugh with them all, but I was like, I just don't know when we're ever going to beat you at St James's Park.
Yeah,
And
it's
they were
well
like, yeah, I
overdue,
know.
that one.
Yeah, so I guess that Newcastle kind of results apart, George. Is there anything else that's been a slight disappointment for you this season? I don't want to take the gloss off what's been a massively amazing season, but there are one or two things that I can think of that are maybe a little bit more disappointing, or things that I'd like to see more of next season. But yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I feel you feel bad now, didn't you, after getting in the Champions League, trying to pull out disappointments? But we've said this a few times on here. Just them games where it was really in our hands to make it ours and do it on our own what's the word? Our own merits. You know, when we had a real good chance to put an 8-point gap in against Man United. I mean, I know it didn't matter in the end, but at the time, losing that game felt, God, we were heartbroken on here, weren't we? We come on, it was like the world had ended. And yeah, that one was a real blow to us. And then also the Tottenham game, which was the same sort of thing. It felt that day we really let ourselves down in that second half and got really turned over at home. And at that stage, I cashed out on my Villa top 4 bet. I'm not going to lie to you, boys, because I thought we're gone here and Tottenham are going to go on. And it didn't turn out that way, thank God. But yeah, there are a couple of league disappointments. And then obviously, like you said about the European run, we've got to remember we're 13 years out of Europe, bit naive. We're all thinking, it's the Conference League. We'll piss this. West Ham just won it. And I think we were naive going into a few of those games. We did well, especially at Villa Park, we did well. But like, as you say, going out to Warsaw, going out to Lille, even going out to Ajax, I just thought our away approach in Europe wasn't quite right this year. And I don't know, because we couldn't keep winning the away games, I never felt really confident that we were going to go on and win it. So, am I disappointed? Little tiny bit, but it was great to be back on the map, boys.
Yeah, 100%. Few people in the chat. Dunk says the Tottenham 4-0 at home was a tactical mess up. Michael said it. No. Gary says, sorry, the women's team weren't great. Rachel does say that they did sort it out in the second part of the season, though. So, yeah, a few little disappointments. Scotty UK, I've never known a season with injuries like
Absolutely.
this ever. And that has to be, I guess it's one of those things that can't really be helped, but it has to go down as a slight disappointment in terms of where could we have been without the injuries. I know every team can say that. I know Newcastle fans will say that quite a lot, but with Villa, I mean, some of the key players that we have had out, and you look at this last part of the season, I know I've talked about it, the tiredness and not using it as an excuse and all that kind of stuff, but it does hamper the options that you can utilise, particularly off the bench, and that's been really, really disappointing. Kevin said Diaby's erratic form, very disappointing, although his contributions have been good, I think, across the season. So we'll see what he's like next season. Martin, anything from you that's kind of anything slightly different to what George has said, or do you agree with what George has said, or is there anything else that you've been slightly disappointed with or want to see more from next season?
I think I was slightly disappointed with the fact that we kind of lacked a bit of left wing play. In my opinion, I felt everything was constantly down the right. We didn't look to go down the left a lot, probably because of the injuries that we had towards the end of the season. So we were constantly looking to go to Bailey and Diaby when, Rodgers probably wasn't getting much of the ball, and then he got injured, and then, you're lacking that left side of play. So it was nearly all coming to the right, and it was getting too predictable.
Mark, did you think? Sorry to jump in on you, mate. Didn't for quite a good chunk of that season though, Luca Dean was really like our attacking. He was marauding.
Yeah, no, he was, but then it kind of faded away though. It kind of faded away with all the injuries that we had.
I think as he started to fade away towards the end of the season, I mean, he really put it in that Arsenal game, and then after that, I felt like we could have done with Moreno being fully fit to give him the option to rest out, because I think
so
a hell of a lot into that game.
Yeah,
Dean.
I felt we kind of lacked it towards the end. Like maybe up to January, I felt we were mixing it all round in all angles, and we were getting loads of goals, and then in the second half of the season, we were trying to go one way or trying to score the perfect goal by holding on to it for too much.
Yeah.
And, that's certain games. It wasn't all the games. And it was just kind of like, why are we trying to keep so much possession, trying to score the perfect goal? If we just get one, the rest will follow. Let the teams make mistakes. And, that never happened, unfortunately. But, hopefully in the summer that we can get a proper left-sided player to, help us, give us a few options.
Yeah. It's not a bad one, actually. My guy says giving away 2-0 leads. We've got to start sorting that out next season. Dennis says disappointing. Ollie didn't get player of the season. Yeah, what did he get? What did they do? Some sort of assist one?
He got a playmaker of the year.
Playmaker of the
Yeah, I've
season.
never
Yeah,
heard of that before.
playmaker of the season. So I think I'm surprised that you boys haven't said this, and maybe the Conference League run has sort of masked that, but maybe the disappointment slightly with the domestic cups. I mean, now we have the injury situation. We're probably glad that we went out of them a little bit earlier. But had earlier on in the season, we lost to Everton at home in the Carabao Cup, and you're thinking you should be winning that game really. And then we obviously had Chelsea back to Villa Park in a replay, and you're thinking, could we have won that game? Is there anything to suggest next season you'd like to see more in the domestic cups, or are we going to really have to sacrifice them because of the Champions League next season? What are your thoughts, George?
Yeah, well, at the time and before, I'm a very big fan of the domestic cups, but the proof was in the pudding. At the end of the day, we struggled in the end to go on 2 fronts, let alone 4.
Yeah.
What's the crack going to be with these injuries? Is this a one-off now, or is this how it's going to be when you're in Europe? I was chatting to my mate at work the other day, big Liverpool fan, and he was sort of saying, "Oh, you boys are going to have to strengthen and spend some money." And I said, "Look, people don't realise we've got a squad. It's just they're all injured." And his words back to me were, "Yeah, get used to that." And I'm thinking, well, if that is the case,
look at what Liverpool
had
to do. Look at what Liverpool had to do. Sort of 2/3 away through the season, they had to literally go with their young players, and they managed to win games. But because they had to go to the well so much, that then cost them towards the back end of the season because they were maybe rushing players back to fitness, or the young players had done well to get them to a certain point, and then because you have to put everything into all those games so much, there's a slight drop off, and then all of a sudden it kind of slightly unravels, and that's what did Liverpool in the end a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously next year it's Champions League, better quality. The chances are we probably won't go as far as we have this year, but at the same time, this is the start of a bright future for us. But at the same time, this could be our one chance at this. So you've got to give it our all, haven't we? And I wouldn't be surprised if our league form suffers a little bit next year. Hopefully not. But so as going back to the original question, I think the domestic cups, yeah, unless we can somehow strengthen our squad and all our injuries can come back, I can see it being a similar situation as this year.
I think with the cups, I don't know if you lads felt, I felt the depth and quality when it came to them cups wasn't great. You know what I mean? Like with players that we were starting, they weren't to the level of what was starting in the Premier League. So hopefully in the summer that if we sign, maybe 2 or 3 with better quality players, and then you get rid of a few, obviously for financial fair play reasons, and obviously getting rid of the dead wood, the depth and quality will be a lot better because you've got lads coming back from injury. So when you really think about the options that are going to be there, Buendia, Ramsey, Rodgers, now Ross Barkley, Kamara, Louise, McGinn, Hielemans, Mings, Konza, Cash, Pau, and then obviously, some other targets that if they come in, that the depth and quality will be a lot better in the cup game.
The second Robin Olsen plays, we lose as well.
Oh,
so
Jesus,
that's got to win, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sadly.
So hopefully the depth and quality next season will be a lot better for the cup games, where these are players that, right, fair enough, they're backup players, but they're players that can still do a job in the Premier League.
Yeah. Shout out to Gary Garner. I'm not a Villa fan, but it's absolutely fantastic to see Villa qualify for the Champions League. I'm a massive Emery fan, easily one of top 5 coaches around. Treat him well because you're lucky to have him. Excellent stuff, mate, and thank you for watching. Just touching on the point that you made, George, there, the next kind of point that I wanted to talk around was Emery, he's done you can't even talk about any more superlatives about the job that he's done across this last 18 months. Just phenomenal. Where can he take Villa, and what are you thinking for next season with regards to Unai Emery and what he can achieve with Aston Villa?
Yeah, go along with exactly what you just said there. Absolutely brilliant. You know, he's like build the statue, make him a sir, do all of that because he really has deserved it. Going forward, who knows? I wonder whether it actually depends on us or whether it depends on whether, you know, the other big 6 teams get their act together and it could be taken out of our hands. But we can only do the best we can do. If we've got our whole squad fit, as we've just said, I think we're a different animal. I think our hands are tied financially here, you know, as I've bored you all season with. But getting into the Champions League to me, it's not making us any more of a richer club transfer-wise, not at least for a couple of seasons.
Not this season, no.
No. So I think, again, we go next year with a similar squad to what we've got. And if we can just, you know, if we can ride off that wave of having a settled side, players that know each other, players that have been in the trenches together, players that have had success together this year, it might just get us through another year. I know there's that saying, oh, if you stand still, you go backwards. But it's not always the case, not always straight away anyway. So who knows where we could go? You know, I don't think there's a title tilt just yet because, you know, we were all excited this year, weren't we? Oh, look how close we were. Come the end, how far are we back? About 25 points off. And I told you all it was going to happen. You know, so I think we're about. Maybe we can get up.
Yeah, but George, when you have Kevin in the group, he's going to make you believe.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those, isn't it? You're thinking, right, Champions League, if we could get to that knockout phase, potentially, it obviously is going to make the league form suffer. But then also you're thinking, if you can have incremental improvements across the season, we've already said about the 2-0 defeats the 2-0 leads that we've cost us, the 1 or 2 games where we've been in a position to really grasp top of the league or whatever it is that we've missed out on. So if you think maybe capitalizing on one or two more of those opportunities, you're thinking maybe 6-7 points more than last season, that the season previously, and then you're seeing where that takes you. But it's going to be difficult. But he is the best person for the job, isn't he?
Of course he is, mate. The defence has got to improve. I mean, like this year, amazing. We've managed to get 4th, and this is apparently I think I read it's our 4th or 5th worst defensive campaign in Premier League history. You know, so straight away, you've got to stop shipping 2-3 goals a game and making life hard. If you go back to the defence the way it was when Unai came in, you know, we were properly watertight this time last year, weren't we? But this year, I don't know. I think that the whole time since he's been there and this season has taken out of the side and all the injuries and, you know, I think concentration, we tired out mentally and physically. But yeah, knock that in the bud and you've got a good chance, haven't you?
Absolutely. Martin, just slightly different question to you. The stability that Unai Emery will bring to us has to be a huge advantage, especially with the craziness that's going on with Chelsea. Liverpool in a bit of a state of flux with Arne Slot coming in. We don't know how well he's going to do. The crazy situation at Manchester United. Pep Guardiola talking about maybe one more season, maybe 2 more seasons. We don't necessarily know there. I mean, I know Man City are crazily ahead of us. But there's fruit, and Brighton as well, looking again for a new manager. Not that they would be too close to challenging for us. West Ham with a new manager. We've got to look at this stability and being able to capitalise on that, especially if some of the injuries, like you've talked about there before, Martin, that come back to be fit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and I know there's talks with, you know, Unai Emery to tie him down to a different contract. I think obviously they gave him one before, but from what I've heard, there's talks to make him obviously
activate. They activated the 12 months, but now they're also
they want to do a 4th one to try to keep him as a legacy of like Arsene Wenger, Sir Alex Ferguson type of thing. And I think that's very ambitious from the owners, you know, like not in a negative way, of course, but you know, like to try and get a manager that's going to stay as long as Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson did, I think is, in my opinion, these days is very unrealistic. But
especially if things start going wrong.
Yeah, if things are not going wrong, but even at that, it'd be very ambitious. But however, I think the stability wise of it for Unai Emery to stay will be key because when, like you've touched on there, Rich, Lopetegui's coming to West Ham, Chelsea now managerless. Brighton now managerless. Arne Slot, who's going to come in. I reckon there'll be a good few players wanting to leave, probably because Jurgen Klopp's not there. Because sometimes different players want to leave for previous managers didn't out of respecting, which tends to happen sometimes. Obviously, Pep Guardiola hinting at the fact that maybe next season's his last season because of the contract expiry that he has at the moment. Man United stinking ship at this minute. I mean, I think probably Ten Hag is to blame for a lot of stuff because when you look at the players he's got rid of, and they've just worsened, in my opinion. So, and then of course, and this probably would be a shout. Newcastle might have to look at a different manager now. Of course, I know they've had a lot of injuries at the very start of the season and they finished strong, of course. But when you look at the money that they've got now, I know, of course, there's financial fair play restrictions and everything else. Don't get wet, George. But no, obviously with Eddie Howe, if Newcastle won, I know they got Champions League before when everyone was fit and it was a great season, obviously because of momentum and everything else. But if they want to be ambitious and be in the level of your Man Cities and Arsenal's and those top end of the seasons, top end of the table, Newcastle will have to look at a type of manager that's going to come in and attract much bigger players. Because even though they've got the money and he's attracted some good players, but they're kind of like squad players. But however, if you bring in a manager that attracts big players, like a Pep Guardiola, like a Jurgen Klopp, like Manuel Pellegrini when he first came to Man City, Mancini when he came to Man City, managers that attract bigger players, being able to progress you up the table, that might have to be an option. And then, of course, the clubs are going through different things. But I think as well, in my opinion, stability-wise is good for the managers, but you won't see a lot of sacking next season, I don't think, because of financial fair play and profitability and sustainability rules. Because look how much it costs clubs to sack managers these days with their contracts.
Yeah.
There's not been many this year, is there?
There hasn't, and I think that's part of the reason.
Very little.
Yeah, that's part of the reason. Definitely. But yeah, I totally agree with you there. But I do think a lot of people in the chat are saying, stability is one of those things, bearing the guarantee. Stability in the club should attract new players. It's one of those things, where we ask, and Duncan said Emery's now probably the safest seat in the Prem, equal with Pep, and he's definitely feels like it's right with the club, and everything's right with the club with him at the helm, and that's exactly what we need, and that's exactly what we want. Before we get into the next sort of subjects, just make sure, guys, you're hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button. We are almost at 100 watching tonight, which is just tremendous. So thank you for all your support. But please do hit the like button. I think we're on 44 likes. If we could get over 50, maybe 60 likes already, and then subscribe to the channel if you are new. Help us on the road to 4K. And we also have our special guest just jumping on for a few minutes just to explain, again, this wonderful 150 years incentive or initiative, that Michael is doing. So let's just bring him in. Michael, how are you doing, mate? I know
I'm doing well.
I know you're very famous these days, jumping on all these podcasts and stuff. But yes, we launched ourselves, and Neil launched the kind of initiative to celebrate the 150 years. We've had some real good backing off it. So it's got off to a really good start. But yeah, wanted to get you on here just to maybe explain a little bit more and just to keep pushing it on. So just talk to us about kind of what it is that you want to do and what we're getting involved with.
Yeah, but first of all, I want to congratulate you all on not only has it been a fantastic year for everybody associated with Aston Villa, seeing the growth of your podcast channel has been absolutely amazing, and everybody who works, who you have on, they all contribute in their own different way, and it just shows the beauty of our club, really. So I just want to thank you all for what you're doing.
Top man.
Yeah,
thank you, mate. We just, me and George and Kev and Martin talk about, we when we had like one or two people watching, a couple of years back, and now it's gone to what it is, and we just literally just talk about footy. I
Yeah,
think we
but
like
Michael's
to
an
have a
OG.
debate.
Michael's an OG. He
Yeah,
was there from the
Michael's
beginning.
one of the OGs as
He
well.
was
So
there when it was all dark, black, and screens were here, and
yeah. Before we had
yeah.
proper
I
mics
mean,
and
it was
stuff.
black
So
and white TV at the time when Michael
yeah.
was watching. Now we've
I
got color.
remember black
Come
and
on,
white
Michael.
TV.
But yeah, mate, thank you so much, and for you, mate, thank you so much for supporting us. It's been amazing to have you kind of backing us on social media and everything like that. So amazing stuff, amazing
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah,
No,
talk to us about your initiative, mate, and what you want to get going, because like I say, people have jumped in on it, but we want to get everyone involved in kind of setting up their own little initiatives, don't we?
yeah, it's a really, really very simple idea, to be honest. Um, as I said to you before, Aston Villa are celebrating 150 years of existence, and we are very unique in probably English League football to be achieving that. We are the first, if you want to say, big clubs that are doing that. And I think we need to leave a marker, because whatever all the other clubs do, they'll be following us. So we need to put down a statement and do something which they can only follow. And the idea basically is how we can use the 150 years uh, for all the fans to take part in, but also use it as an initiative to raise funds for the Aston Villa Foundation. So the idea briefly is, if you use Just Giving, you can set a direct link up to the Aston Villa Foundation, and then you don't have to have an idea straight away. You can think about what you want to do, but it has to be based around the number 150. So, as an example, one of my colleagues said they're going to bake 150 cupcakes and then sell them for £1.50 each. I'm
Oh.
at the moment in the process of, well, I'm actually waiting for the pictures to come out for the following season. And then I'm personally going to cycle 150 miles to one of the away grounds if I can get tickets. So I may need your help there.
Hmm.
And again, if people can donate £1.50 towards my efforts, that will go a long way towards the raising funds for the foundation.
Tremendous, tremendous. We're actually bouncing ideas off each other for what we're going to do on the channel, and also hopefully maybe try and link in with the other channels as well. I know we've got maybe an idea for a marathon podcasting extravaganza to try and do maybe 150 hours of live broadcast, and we'll see if we can culminate in a live show. So yeah, we're going to definitely try and do something. We've set up our kind of, I think we've set up a GoFundMe, but we've set up a GoFundMe page, linked it to the foundation. So once we announce what we're going to do, people can get involved in that as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
if you utilize our social media, everyone who's watching, utilize Michael's social media. If everyone's watching, and just share if you want to get involved with doing something, then you guys share it with us, and we'll broadcast it out as well. Because we want, like you said, Michael, we want to get as many people involved as possible, don't we? Whether that's be donating or whether that be doing something themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I'd just like to add also, I know, well, the key thing is I've chosen the minimum donation of £1.50. That is to recognise that we are in struggling times for everyone in the country. It would be nice if somebody came up and said, yeah, here's £100 or something like that. That isn't the point. The point is that everybody can take part. Everybody can donate £1.50, and it will collectively go a very long way if we all do something. The other thing as well is, whoever, like for yourselves, you take part. I like everyone to set themselves a personal target of getting 150 people to donate £1.50. The only drawback with the Just Giving page is the minimum donation is £2. That's if you're donating online. So if you're organising a event, if you collect the £1.50s from people who are donating, and then you can upload that in one go onto your page. But the other key thing is the celebration season. It's 9 months long. So I don't want people stressing out thinking that they have to organise something for a specific day and then stressing about trying to get everybody to donate on that particular day. You have 9 months to raise that. So it just takes the stress out of everybody doing it. And then, as you say, if people can take photos or videos of what they're doing and then just upload it with their Villa shirts on saying, we're celebrating 150 years of Aston Villa by doing whatever you're doing in fundraising. And just shortly, to recognise the fan base that we have abroad, I'd like them also to use this initiative, but to use it for a charity that is local to them, because obviously it would be unfair to ask them to support Aston Villa Foundation if they're in Ghana or Australia, Canada, wherever. So I hope they can use this to do something for a good cause for a local charity to them.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And as Gary says as well, if we could get a trophy to celebrate that 150 years as well, that would just top it all off. But yeah, we've already had shout out from the Villa Foundation as well, Michael, already, saying what a great job it is. And I know Neil on Liverpool McGrath did a bit of a show the other day to launch it and to raise funds for the foundation. So we've already got off to a great start, and it's brilliant that the foundation are kind of getting behind it already.
Yeah, it is, and it's something which I just wanted to grow organically within the fan base. It's not an organised event as such. It's just something that everybody can take part in, and the more of us that can do it, it really doesn't matter, to be honest, if you don't reach your target of getting 150 people,
But
but
it's
you've
the
all
effort.
taken part.
Yeah.
And you've all, whatever you do will be recognised to the charity.
Yeah, tremendous. Well, Michael, thank you so much for jumping on, mate. We will definitely be getting behind it. Want to get as many people involved as we can, and we'll obviously have you on more and more across the months to keep us updated and obviously help you keep this alive, because we want to make sure that we're having a celebration and we're raising plenty of money for the foundation as the months go on, mate.
Just one more thing. It would be nice if you all took part in a marathon.
I don't know if my knees could handle it, but
Michael, I've got a great excuse. I don't live in the country.
which
I've got a
marathon
great
would that be as
excuse.
well?
I'm joking, but I say that in just to the season that we just have. And I know we've had moments throughout the season where
Yes.
people go absolutely crazy.
I
But
don't know why you're looking at me there, by the way.
I say because I used to do a bit of running many years ago, and running a marathon really does teach you a lot about hanging in there. And, we all know of the wall. We hit the wall just coming out into January. But I always believed from the very start of the season that we would get fourth place. And I'm just really, really pleased for everybody, the fans, the players, everybody associated with Aston Villa, that we actually have done that. And it is a marathon and not a sprint.
Yes.
And Michael, just one
Wise
more thing.
words.
Instead of doing a marathon, is it all right if George drinks 150 points?
You do that easy.
Yeah,
That's
he's
too
there
easy.
drinking a pint. So if that's
He can do that over the course of the season.
Responsible drinking.
No one would be sponsoring him for doing that, though.
Well, you raise the point. I mean, if you're going out Saturday night, for instance, miss out that 1 point and donate it to the foundation. It's
Fair enough,
really
man.
as simple as that.
Yeah. Very, very wise words, mate. Very wise words. Michael, top man, absolutely fantastic what you're doing. We will, like I say at the podcast, we will be massively behind it. We're going to definitely do something. I don't know if it'll be running a marathon, but we'll definitely do something. And yeah, like I say, we'll get you on regular intervals to let us know how everything's going and to keep pushing it, mate. But yeah, top man, thank you for
Thank you
jumping
very
on.
much. Up the Villa.
See you soon, mate. Up the Villa. See,
Legend.
I mean, fantastic initiative, George, isn't it? Fantastic, and we'll, like I say, we've had a lot of interest already in it, so hopefully we can raise a lot of money for the foundation. So yeah, top man, Michael, top man. So let's talk transfers, Martin, because it has gone a bit crazy over the last few days. We've talked about the rumor of Ross Barkley coming in. There's rumors of Carlos Soler. There's rumors of what's Roland Araujo. There's rumors of players leaving, Diego Carlos leaving, Jacob Ramsey leaving. There's apparently he wants a fullback, 2 wingers, and a midfielder. Where are we at with these transfers at the moment?
You tell me. The merry-go-round at this minute. It's just as soon as the transfer window, or sorry, the season finished, the rumors were just like it was a windmill. It was just, I was just like, I can't keep up. It's only 2 days in the rumors, but Araujo, I like the sound
and
of that.
Rabiot as well linked today.
I don't want him
again.
No, don't want him. No, don't want him. I think his attitude can be a bit stinky in the dressing room from Juventus players, and of course his agent, who's his mother, happens to strike a very hard deal for him and make life misery, not for himself, but just for other people. So I wouldn't want that in the dressing room. But Rojo, I would take that in absolutely all day long. Ross Barkley, I'm 50-50 with it. I really am. Now, I know he's had a different role in Luton compared to the one that he had in Villa years ago. But if we get, in my honest opinion, the Ross Barkley at Villa, not necessarily the role that he had years ago, but the injury that the injury prone stuff that he gets. But now, of course, he's fixed that issue now, which is great to see. But if we get the Ross Barkley at Villa years ago, it's not going to work. But if we get the Ross Barkley at Luton, then it's a real coup. Maybe the first time around wasn't his luck. He was on loan, so he's playing for a permanent deal, and he unfortunately got injured very long periods of time and just didn't work out, and kind of came back nearly towards the end of that, but just wasn't enough. But now this time it looks like he's matured, playing unbelievable stuff for Luton. There's big interest in him, not just from us. I think Manchester United are actually looking at him as well. So that element to it. So I think it can go one or two ways. I hope I'm wrong now. I want it to go the way that he was at Luton and his maturity levels, and he might not be a necessary starter in the team, but when called upon, I believe he can put in a shift. And then who else? Carlos Soler. I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't got a clue about him. All I know is that he plays for PSG. That's probably about it.
I think one of Monchi or Emery will know of him because he was a long time at Valencia. But yeah, maybe needs to restart his career. I know Sai AVFC had mentioned, big strong midfielder, and I'm of that opinion. I think we need someone in that midfield position. Scotty says, look at Neil's podcast stats on Barkley in this position. He's a very shrewd buy. Gary hates that he's only on 30 grand, not on big wages at Luton, says James. I mean, what are your thoughts?
A week. He was on 30k a week, I believe.
What are your thoughts, George? You're always
he's on 30k a week.
You're always after a bargain. So what are your thoughts on Ross Barkley?
Yeah, really interesting, isn't it? I was surprised to see Emery linked, but it sounds like we're sort of halfway down the road with this one. Yeah, as far as Barkley's concerned, I think the comment there about him maturing was an important one, because I think the Ross Barkley we had before, he was kind of like, he'd been an England player, hadn't he? He'd been at Chelsea, and he kind of come to us when we were kind of still trying to establish ourselves in the Premier League.
Almost like a spoiled brat, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he kind of had the wrong attitude. I think he thought he was going to be the big fish in the pond there, and he was doing us a bit of a favour. And don't get me wrong, he started pretty well. He scored a few good goals. He linked up nice with Grealish and with Watkins, but there was a lot of petulance there, wasn't there? Especially when it started going wrong. And I couldn't believe how lazy he was. And I eventually was very happy to see the back of him. I thought, what a disappointment. But a few years later, his career's kind of, maybe he needed to hit the summit. He was kind of on his way down, wasn't he? In a bad place. Left us. It didn't get any better for him, did it? Went back to Chelsea again. Nothing happened. Did he go anywhere after that before he went to Luton?
He went to Nice.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah. Into the French league and then to Luton. Obviously now I think he's realised he's at a certain age now. It's kind of now or never if he wants to reignite his career for the next 2 or 3 years or whatever he can do. He come to Villa, as you said, Martin. I don't think he would come in and be an automatic first team player. But as we also said earlier, we're fighting on 4 fronts again next year, possibly. And with the injuries the way they are, a Ross Barkley would sail onto that bench that we've just had. In it, the bench now, Ross Barkley gets on that bench all day long and he probably plays a fair few minutes. European experience, Premier League experience, international experience. Trust Unai on this. If he thinks it's worth a punt, then go for it.
Yeah. Kevin, I do need to shout actually Scotty UK with the $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, mate. Up the Villa, and absolutely up the Villa to you, mate. So thank you for that. But Kevin mentioned Baena, Barkley, Hermoso, and Fofana, please. So some big signings there. But you're looking at Barkley. I'm not sure if it'll be a free transfer. I think it'd be more like a cut price deal because I think he's got 12 months left on his contract. But there is something in his contract whereby he goes for like a lesser amount because Luton got relegated. But Hermoso could be coming on a free, Martin. Are we going to see a potential structure of deals where initially we're going to be looking for these cheaper free options, then potentially look at who we shift, i.e. Diego Carlos, potentially a Douglas Luiz. I don't think Ramsey goes, but he's been named in that equation. Depending on the money that we generate, then means could we go after maybe some of the bigger players after a Euros, being very careful, as some people have mentioned in the chat, about not signing players off the back of one good Euros, but maybe the bigger transfers will be done later on in the pre-season. Do you think that'll be the structure that will go down?
Yeah, just before I touch on to that, did Ross Barkley not have a 1-year deal, and if Luton stayed up, the deal would be extended another year? Or
I'm pretty sure I read he's got an extra 12 months. I don't know whether that's an extra 12 months that could have been activated by them staying up, or whether he signed a 2-year deal.
So I can't see Luton being able to pay 30 grand a week in the Championship.
And then the option to extend for another 12 months, but there will be some sort of get out clause if they got relegated that he can leave for a cut price.
Right, fair enough. Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
I'm not 100% sure, but I did see that he wouldn't just be leaving them for free. I think there would be some sort of fee that would be involved.
Yeah. Well, just now touching on to these free transfers. Look what we did for Tielemans. He was on a free, and he's absolutely excelled this season. Kamara was a free, and I think it's not a bad route to take necessarily, because if you look at the free agent list at this minute, it's a pretty big list, and there's some really good players like Hermoso, who's an absolutely solid centre half in my opinion, as well as a left back who can do the 2 roles, which Emery loves those types of centre halves.
Isn't Wilfred Ndidi as well potentially available?
I think Wilfred Ndidi as well hasn't signed a new deal at this minute. Simon Kajer from Denmark, who's recently going to become a free agent. I think taking the free route isn't a bad route to take because, one, you're not spending any transfer fees, right? But you're paying wages, of course, but it's not as big of a cost, so therefore you're kind of, if a player does go, you've made a profit straight away. It's pure profit. With the players going out, Carlos, I think at this minute with Carlos, I know he's on 100 grand a week, but I would sell him, in my opinion, because if you're looking to bring in the likes of Araujo and Hermoso, you've got to get rid of one. And if he's the one you have to get rid of because of his wages, then yes, you ship him. Apparently, there's going to be listen to offers for Lucadinha again. So that's another one. With Ramsey, I know there's a talk saying that he doesn't want to leave at all, but if there's an alternative where he does leave, he's willing to accept it. But we'll have to see which way the route goes. I think there's plenty of ways we can collect money in terms of our, profitability and sustainability rules and just sell him Jacob Ramsey. So hopefully it's not going to come to that case, because I would love for Ramsey to stay for as long as possible. Like he's one of the club's own in that regards, like a Phil Foden, like a Man City. He's literally just one of the club's own. So you don't want to see him go whatsoever. But if push comes to shove, where you really have to get rid of somebody, he is probably going to be the first name on the list in terms of pure profit.
Mm, mm. You're always quite hot on this, George, in terms of like watching the finances, and you've talked about there before about the Champions League and the additional sponsorship and everything like that that's coming to the club, maybe not being available to us immediately. In that sense, do you see us having to box clever? Do you see one or two big signings coming in, or do you think that we'll have to be really smart and clever with cut price deals to try and build up this squad?
Yeah, I'd imagine it's the latter, mate. And the hard thing is, like, we're coming at it from a what we would want perspective and what Villa would want perspective. We're talking about Diego Carlos there, who's probably played 30 odd games this season. Like you say, 100 odd grand a week. He's just qualified for the Champions League. Why does he want to get out of Villa right now? He's probably thinking, you know what, this is all right here. Of under a good manager, successful team. So it could be hard shifting him. What Spanish club is going to pay him the same as what he's being paid? Jacob Ramsey again, local lad, prospect, been at Villa all his life. We don't really want rid of him, but another one that would probably want to stay. This is going to be a tough old market. It's almost like it's like a wheel, isn't it? You're trying to fit all your pieces, get one out, get one in, and the timing's got to be right here. So I've said all season it's going to be a very important summer, but it might be a frustrating one. And I think you've just got to try and do your business when you can and hope things fall into place. I'd imagine with Carlos, there's going to be Spanish interest in there because he had a very good reputation. Was it Seville he came from?
Yeah.
Wasn't it? So there's got to be suitors out there. But as I said, the fact that Villa are good payers always goes against us and has done for many years when it comes to us trying to get rid of players. You've got Philippe Coutinho coming back. What are we waiting for, a Saudi club or a Qatari club again to come and take him?
I think rumor has it there he's going back home to Brazil.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how long he's got left on his deal, but again, I can see that one costing us money to get shifted. I don't know. I just, put it this way. I can't see us going out spending 50, 60 million on a player without getting some players off the books. And I've said all along, this business model is designed to sell a top player at their top market at the peak of their careers. And to me, that says
and that's the thing as well, George.
Louise, Watkins.
And we can't be. I know you've made the point there about players, and someone in the chat made a point about players that have just achieved the Champions League with Villa. Why would they want to leave? And that is a difficult one, but we have to treat it as, if we're to maintain our kind of level of consistency, then we almost have to sell one of these big players that at the time when they're at their peak to maintain the level that we're at. You have to we'd have to sell. We have to be realistic and say, well, let's cash in on a Luis, 70, 80, 90 million. If we can get that.
It's all good and well us saying that, but someone's
got to buy him. Yeah, someone's got to want him.
That's why I'm worried, Rich.
Absolutely.
I'm worried that we might just accept the first big bid that comes in for whichever one it is. If someone suddenly comes in with 80 million for Watkins, are they just going to think, well, one of these has to go? Maybe we just take this one.
Yeah, I think Emery and Monchi will have like I said the other week, they'll have had a plan in place for if we don't get Europe. They'll have had a plan in place if we got the Conference League. They'll have a plan in place if we get Europa League, and they'll have a plan in place now that we've got the Champions League. So there will obviously be some situation available to them that they will go for. So yeah, it is going to be a situation where there will be definite players that will not be sold, and there'll be players that will have a price if that offer is met, and that's where I think one or two of the players that we're talking about will be on.
Mm.
Gary's talked about the bomb squad. Olsen, Chambers, Archer, Coutinho, Courtney Hawes, Carlos, and Dendonka. I do agree with the vast majority of those names. But Martin, as George has said, clubs have to want those players, and they'll be on decent wages. So I don't know. You're looking at a Courtney Hawes, his championship. Coutinho, yeah, probably going to go back to Brazil, but we're going to lose a lot of money on him. Olsen, he's going to be on decent money. I'm sure he might have the odd taker, but is he going to find a club? Chambers, who's going to go for him? There was talk about championship clubs taking him on loan. Is he going to want a big cut in wages? Dendonka, who's going to take him like after a nightmare spell at Napoli? There's a player there, but is someone going to take the risk on him on 75, 80 grand a week? That, like George has said, it's sometimes easier to sell your top class players than it is to try and get rid of some of the dead wood.
Is it too late to call Steven Gerrard in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, exactly. That's
He's got a lot to answer
the
for,
thing.
isn't
Yeah.
I mean, he bought them all.
he? Imagine if he
Just
was
give 'em
still
back
there
to
now,
him.
the shit we would be in.
Huh?
If he carried on signing players like he was.
Yeah, well, he was definitely overpaying the players anyway. I mean, he made Lucadini our highest earner. Good, yeah. It's not that Lucadini isn't a good player, but he's not at the caliber of those type of wages.
Is he on good money, Luca Dean? I didn't realise.
Yeah, look,
That's an in joke to anyone watching. George
yeah.
probably on a weekly basis messages us in the WhatsApp group
You,
about
you
how much
swear
money
George,
Luca
you swear
Dean's on.
George is the accountant for Aston Villa
Yeah.
and paying all these lads.
I wasn't always like this, Dr. Tony's made me like this by nearly busting us.
Oh. No, yeah, like you touched on, Rich. It's very hard to get rid of the dead wood, and it's not even at the fact that Aston Villa are going to struggle selling players. I think every club in the Premier League is going to be struggling to sell players because of the rules now in place. We've seen the punishment Everton got and Forest got. So clubs are on alert and be like, right, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone. Agents are going to be on phones 24/7, probably a lot more than previous years, because they're trying to get the moves and they're trying not to lose too much wages for the players. And it's going to be an interesting summer, not just from a Villa perspective, but from a whole football and world perspective, I think, just because of the rules that are in place and the punishments that we've seen that
I
two
think
clubs
we're next
made
on that
an
list,
example of.
after those clubs you mentioned, mate.
Yeah, there was quite a detailed post, wasn't there, on X that someone had mentioned that I think we're within like 90 to 95 million or something compared to like the 110 or something that it can be. So we have got a tiny bit of wiggle room in there.
It's on a 3-year period, isn't it? No.
Yeah, which is a little bit better, but it means that we can't, like George was saying before, we can't go crazy this summer. We have to see what we bring in terms of profit for this summer to see how we can utilize some of that Champions League money and the sponsorship money and everything else that we get. So that's going to be interesting. Just a quick one before we finish up on kind of really just some reflections. Give us a dream signing. Just if everything was like equal, and we had the money, just give us a dream sign, and people in the chat can talk about it as well. Give us yours. But Martin, what would be like, a dream signing for you over the course of this summer that we could make for next season?
Palhinha from Fulham.
Practical. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
I think he would just be a real robust type of midfielder. Imagine him and Kamara next to each other. Two lads breaking up the play, where Kamara is a bit more of a Rolls Royce in terms of how he plays football, where Palhinha can just break lads up and just give it to him and let him do what he wants. I think that would be an unbelievable signing for me. Too much money though, George.
Well, what was it, 60 million that he could have gone to Bayern Munich for last summer?
Yeah, but that's going to be a lot more now. He's had another year in the league.
Say that again, Mark.
So it's probably going to be a lot more now. He's had another year in the Premier League.
Yeah, and he's signed a new deal, I think. But there's probably some sort of release clause
There'll be a clause there.
Yeah.
Someone's saying Mbappe's on a free. Let's calm down here.
Yeah, Mbappe is a free. He is. Duncan said Osimhen would be my signing. Need to swap Dougie out though. Scotty UK says Rodri. He would probably be mine. Rodri wouldn't be far off being mine.
Quality player, isn't he?
Yeah. And Lawrence, thank you very much, mates. He's subscribed to us. Legend up the Villa. Thank you very much. CH says McTominay just for fun. I think Gary said Rashford as well. I don't know if that's serious or not. What about you then, George? Who would you like to see?
Well, I know he's kind of like a man of the moment, and it's a bit of a trendy pick, but Elise at Palace, just class, isn't he? And he looks like he's getting better every week. He looks like he's getting better week by week, and he's about to hit the peak years of his career, and he's going to get a big move somewhere this year. I know we've been credited with an interest, but everything I said before probably kiboshes that, in my opinion. But really good player, and yeah, he's going to have a good career for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Palace, they're just unreal at the moment. I didn't talk about them being a potential threat, but if they can keep all their players, you talk about Eze, Elise, Mateta, that Adam Wharton, what a player he is. I mean,
good little steal. Was it
finding
that
him
20 million or something?
from Blackburn, yeah, absolutely phenomenal player. And then you've got Mark Gay, you've got Anderson, you've got decent goalkeepers. I mean, they've got
Mitchell.
Yeah, you got Tariq Mitchell. They've got a hell of a side. So yeah, Elise is a great shout. Eze is a great shout. They're just tremendous players. So yeah, I'd say practically Rodri would be a good one. But in terms of like skill wise, I think Elise would be a cracking one. Really good, really good. Well, what about position wise? I mean, Emery's talked about the wingers. You've mentioned wingers as well, Martin. Are you dead set on attacking players? I mean, the defense has needed some help this season. So, what are you seeing position wise?
I'd say for me, I'd like a left winger. I feel like we have too many players now on the right. Like, you've got Bailey, you've got Diaby. They like to come off the right. I know Tielemans playing the left for a bit. I know Rodgers plays on the left, Ramsey on the left, but it just doesn't seem like there's not a lot of depth there. So I wouldn't mind somebody coming in who's more of a left-sided player. But at the same time, I would like a centre-back because Langley is obviously probably not going to come back from his loan spell. We're looking to get rid of Carlos, of course. So hopefully a centre-back or a left wing for me.
Yeah. George, what about yourself? A lot of people
just
saying
before I go on to that,
wingers.
Before I go on to that, Rich, I'd say another player I really like is Mbeumo at Brentford.
Yeah,
never gets a mention anywhere. It's always Tony.
Wissa as well is playing really well. That Wissa ended the season amazing.
Yeah, but very good players. But as I say, if we was to sign Mbeumo, I think's right wing, isn't he? And we're just talking about there. We've got Bailey.
Oh, you know what I'd like a Nathan Ake.
He's a good player.
I'd like a Nathan Ake.
All of those defenders are, for Man City, so versatile. So yeah, I mean, but again, we're talking dream signings. If anyone's just jumped in and we talk about signing Man City players, then let's just say they're dream signings.
Yeah, just go back about 5 minutes there, folks, and realise what we're talking about.
Yeah, but positionally,
sorry, mate, your question
George,
was what do we need, right?
Yeah, positionally, I think Rachel's mentioned CDM. A lot of people talk about fullbacks. People talk about wingers. Like position-wise, I mean, is it? You said like we've had record goal scoring this season. So goal scoring doesn't seem to be the problem. It's more keeping them out of the net. So is it midfield that's the cover, or is it actual defense that's the problem?
Well, for me, I'd say a lot of it's the midfield, but that's where we've been really hit hard with the injuries, haven't we? Mm-hmm. With Ramsey being out pretty much the whole season, Kamara being out since January. It just feels like we've kept losing players in them positions. Tielemans had a long spell out of the team.
Yeah,
but the fullbacks. It'd be interesting to see this. It's a Serbian fella, isn't it, coming in?
Nedeljkovic, yeah.
Is he going to be first team ready, or is he going to be a young player?
19,
you know what? Unpopular opinion. I think he will be. He's played in the Champions League with, Red Star Belgrade, and we kept Grealish in his pocket, which if you had the Grealish of old, that would have been a very hard thing to do. But still, to keep a Man City player in a back pocket.
Oh, was he the one where they had the big bust up? There was having a bit of a to-do.
Yeah.
Oh, it's him, is it? I didn't realise that.
Yeah. So I think he will be first team ready. Will he be a starter? Probably not. But I reckon he'll be rotational, and you probably will see him around the squad a lot.
Yeah, and then you go to left back. I mean, like obviously what we just said about Luca Dean makes reasonable sense financially if we can let him go. But with Moreno's an interesting one. He was another one that we pretty much just didn't see last season after he literally burst on the scene the back end of the previous one. If you get the Moreno that first signed, he's a left back all day long for the season for me. But I don't know, is he injury prone or has he just had one of those seasons? So you're possibly looking at a fullback, left back, and then a right back if Nedeljkovic isn't ready. Because I think there's been a problem there at right back this year. Konza's done his best. Cash has done his best. For me, I still say it, and I've been shouted down. I still would have kept Ashley Young for the season myself.
I would have 100%. He was interviewed on TalkSport today, and I was thinking, he's played a lot of games at Everton this season, and if they hadn't have had their points deduction, I think they'd be close to 50 points.
Yeah, they'd been about 10th, 11th, wouldn't they?
Yeah, so he's not been bad at all.
No,
not been
but
bad
then
at all.
Obviously Mings comes back, doesn't he? Hopefully fit for the start of the season. Hoping obviously the ACL hasn't left any lasting damage on him. That's going to be a massive boost to us, isn't it? Having Tyrone Mings back, just a commanding centre half that gets his head on things, organises. I reckon you could take another 10 goals off that tally this year if he'd have been playing.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
Just the headed balls into the box, heading them out. Do you think Gallagher would be a good signing, George, for central midfield?
I don't love him, I think he's all right, but I think he's just got that English hype. I can't. I mean, he's done all right for Chelsea, but there's always talk around him leaving, isn't there? And I don't think he reminds me a bit of McGinn. I don't think there's too much of a difference between them. They've both got a lot of energy, a lot of pace, but
I did the like a little rat transfer roundup, and I said McGinn. I said like all action, can get about the pitch, can when he's playing well and he's setting the tempo, he can be really good. But when he's off and his passing's not great, he's not good at all. But
I think Matt O'Reilly from Celtic would be good.
Yeah, someone's put that in the chat. I've seen him a few times.
I think he's solid. I think he'd be very good.
Yeah, he's got quite a lot of presence about him, height, presence. He's a bit languid with the ball and everything like that. So, yeah, decent player. But one thing for sure, it's going to be a very interesting pre-season. I will just finish up with some kind of reflections in a second, but just want to shout out a couple of things. Want to shout out our who support our channel, Football Prizes. So they do at the moment have a signed Ollie Watkins shirt available to win. So you buy your ticket, $3.95 for your ticket, and there's only limited tickets available. Competition ends this Thursday. So the draw, I think, is done live on Facebook, and then there's also some instant win prizes as well. That one of those instant win prizes could be a signed Moussa Diaby shirt as well. So yeah, the live draw is on Friday, so you've got till Thursday evening to purchase your ticket. Great prize, and they update the prizes every couple of weeks. But this week, as I say, is the Ollie Watkins signed shirt. So visit the site footballprize.co.uk and search for the Ollie Watkins competition, and you can potentially be in with a chance of winning the signed Ollie Watkins shirt. And I do want to do our prize draw for the print for the 23-24 squad with Matty723. So I've pre-added all of the names that entered on X. Max did the countdown last week. He was very, very enthusiastic. I don't know if anyone heard him. This time, Martin, you can do the 3, 2, 1 countdown, and please put a little bit more life into it.
Another prize for me to win. I mean, my father. Sorry. Okay, we ready? Drum roll.
Yes, we're ready.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Pick a random name. And the winner is Mark Guest. Well done. I think Mark is quite a regular watcher as well, so that's really good. We'll get in touch with you on Twitter or X as it is now. So well done, mate. Congratulations to you. We're going to do plenty more prizes as the season goes on, but well done to you, Mark, for winning the prize.
Sorry, Dad, I tried.
Yeah. I would have redrawn it anyway. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I guess just to kind of bring us back, just what a season, George. What a season. I mean, when we started this, I know we're going to do a show where we're going to go back and look at our pre-season predictions and everything like that and what we said, but I guess it was an idea in our heads to finish fourth and qualify for the Champions League and get a good run in Europe and everything like that. But the way the season's gone, it's just been phenomenal, hasn't it, George?
Yeah, no doubt about it, lads. Yeah, it's a season of dreams, really. We've seen some absolute dross over probably 10, 15-year period since Martin O'Neill left. And, this year we've really been treated, haven't we? Oh God, yeah. You think of the great run at Villa Park that we had. It's always a tough. I always found it tough at home. It weren't always the best environment to play in, but Emery found the way, didn't he? The winning streak, and then what did it go on in the end? 17 when it at home, 17 unbeaten, was it?
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. I've had some memorable days on the road. We've absolutely dominated London this season until we went to Palace on Sunday, but we can scratch that one off. We've seen some great performances. Players have done us proud, really. The Villa fans, the European experience, back on the European map after, such a long absence. Just even though losing 5-0 at Palace on Sunday, and I know you were there, Rich, listening to the fans singing, we're on the way to Barcelona and all that, just put a smile on my face. And that's kind of what Villa have done this season. It's been great, obviously living down here, being one of the only ones. I've been out to wear my shirt proudly. Everyone's stopping me. Oh, you boys are doing well. You're having a great season. Whereas normally people just pat me on the back, and feel sorry for me.
There. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
So no, honestly, it's been fantastic. We us guys have met up a couple of times throughout the season. We've had a drink and a chat and a good laugh and watch some good football. So what more can you ask for, boys?
Exactly. I do have to shout out Carl for, I think that's Norwegian krona. Is that right? 59.
It's
Thank you so much,
£5.
mate.
It's
Need a
£5
Van de
for
Ven-esque defender with speed to recover. Would rather have Smith Rowe than Ross Barkley. Interesting.
Oh.
Luca does say as well, it will be brilliant to have some of the best teams in the world at Villa Park, and that's the thing as well. Again, just reflecting on it, and Rachel said an exceptional season. Just the thing as well, Martin. I know we haven't had the draw yet for the Champions League, but the prospect of Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona coming to Villa Park is just mouth-watering.
Yeah, I mean, that's the stuff of dreams, though, isn't it? Playing against these teams in the highest competition you could possibly play in, and I wouldn't really care if, well, of course I'll care if we lose, but if we put in a good performance and you lose to a team of their caliber, you take it on the chin. But the experienced players have seen the likes of, excuse me, Jude Bellingham, Joshua Kimmich, all these types of players that you'd love to see play once in your lifetime, potentially coming to Villa Park. And I think it's not even just from us, from the kids as well. Seeing probably some role models that they watch on the screen in the Champions League potentially come to Villa Park, going to their dad, "Can we get a ticket? Can we get a ticket? Can we get a ticket?" And of course, their dads will bring them. So, it's going to be such a wonderful experience, not just from us, but from everybody in the club involved.
Yeah. Look, fantastic. And we are going to obviously do more shows over the pre-season. We're going to keep the fans forums every week because the news just keeps coming through thick and fast. I don't think we talked about the kit and all that sort of stuff today. I think we'll wait till it actually gets announced and actually gets launched. But we are going to do more shows. I'll probably do more of the kind of transfer roundup shows as well, but maybe not so many of the lives, in terms of the match previews and the match reactions for obvious reasons. Bear in the Garden says thanks for the podcast. And I just wanted to thank you boys, George, Martin, obviously Sam, Gareth, Kev, Rich, Max, just for all your help this season. Just amazing stuff, and for your support over the season. Like I said before, to go from, I think we probably were somewhere around 1,000 subscribers towards the start of this season. We're now at nearly 4,000. Just your help, lads, has been amazing. So thank you for all your help, boys, and thank you for all you watching, supporting the channel, pushing it out there, helping us to grow. It's just fantastic, and we want to keep going more and more next season, and just keep pushing forward with the channel. So thank you so much for everyone for your support. What a season it's been. It's just been amazing talking about Villa across this whole season. So yeah, thanks for everyone watching. Thank you, John, as well, for your 199 super chat. Great show. Thanks for the great content, Villa till I die.
Yes,
And
the
that's
cash is
exactly
rolling in tonight.
what
We're going
we
on
are.
the point scored.
Thank you very much, everyone. Like I say, I'll be back with more shows across the week. I think we're going to do a 5 game that change the season, 5 signings that'll change us for next season with Gareth looking at the data. So plenty more content to come. Transfer talk shows, I'm sure, will be there. So make sure you hit the like button, guys, on your way out. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you all for watching, and as always, remember, we all follow the Villa.